Let's expose the ultimate double standard currently playing out on Alliance. And it all comes down to Kushal Tandon's flawed logic. When Kushal was questioned on the show about his past relationships, he completely brushed it off and played the victim, dropping his famous dialogue. Log aate hain, pampered hoke chale jaate hain, aur fir baatein banate hain. Okay, so when it comes to his exes, he just claims they were spoiled and are making things up. But the minute he turns his attention to the actual contestants in the house, his entire vocabulary changes. According to Kushal, the Gen Z crowd, Vanshaj, Dolly, and Payal, are completely ill-mannered. And Ruhi, he labels her as ungrateful. Leans in close to the lens, lowering sunglasses or dropping tone for emphasis. So, my question is simple. Kushal, if according to you, all these contestants are so incredibly ill-mannered, then where are your manners? It is very easy to point fingers and call everyone else rude, but when you are the one constantly judging and throwing around labels, the fault lies entirely with you. And the audience can see it clear as day. And speaking of people completely disconnected from reality, let's talk about Saby, constant self-praise. I have so much potential. Please, who boasts about themselves that much? If you have that much potential, prove it in the game instead of blowing your own trumpet. At this rate, her potential looks like her trying to boil milk in a water heater. The game concept itself is actually solid, but the senior citizen's dynamic is completely throwing off the energy. Honestly, Kushal should have been locked away in lockup, and Shivangi should be in Alliance. Instead, they're both trapped in completely different shows, executing the exact same tired love angle formulas with different people. And speaking of lockup, don't even get me started on their so-called devastating secrets. It's a total joke. Think about it. Niti is over in Alliance, just having a normal, regular, everyday conversation with her housemates, sharing that she walked out of a toxic, abusive relationship. It was raw, it was real, and it was deeply encouraging, which feels like a bigger, more genuine reveal than the actual bombshells they desperately hype up on the lockup judgment couch. Over on Lockup, they expect the audience to gasp and cry over a mutual divorce, being bisexual, liking someone, or not being able to have a third child. Since when are normal, everyday human experiences being branded as dark, devastating secrets? If those producers actually wanted to showcase something that takes real, undeniable courage, something that actually inspires the audience, they should look at Niti. Walking out of an abusive relationship is an actual story worth sharing. That takes real guts. But instead, we get Kushal projecting bad manners onto Gen Z while completely forgetting his own, and Lockup trying to turn normal life moments into cheap, manufactured scandals. These reality shows need to stop treating the audience like we can't see the truth. We see right through the facade. Let's stop dancing around it. Reality TV right now is actively promoting toxic garbage behavior, and the producers are happily enabling it for cheap clicks. First of all, I'm not even going to dissect Shilpa Shinde. Her story clearly runs way deeper than whatever sanitized version they are choosing to show us on screen. But if things are as messy as they look, then both the showmakers and Shilpa herself should have been banned a long time ago. Period. And while we're handing out bans, let's talk about the absolute lack of decency walking around these sets. Akanksha Chowdhury is a completely mannerless human being. Pair her up with Yogesh, a textbook opportunist who jumps at whatever benefit he can grasp, and you've got a duo that shouldn't even be allowed on broadcasting networks, let alone reality TV. And what was that absolute trash line? Main character the. I was the main character. Give me a break. That delusional main character energy is the exact reason I had to skip half of Splitsvilla. It is unwatchable. And I'm putting a hard boundary right here. If Akanksha is not absolutely ripped apart and scolded on this upcoming weekend episode, I am officially done. I am deleting Lockup from my watch list, and honestly, I'm throwing Netflix shows out the window too. Because look at what these platforms are actively presenting to the newer generation. We are already dealing with a generation whose brains don't do basic analysis based on logic. They don't think, they just consume. And what are these massive networks and streaming giants feeding them? They are validating and promoting awful, abusive, toxic behavior as standard entertainment. When you reward a person for having zero manners and call it good TV, you teach an entire generation of viewers that being a terrible human being makes you a star. Niti and Dolly can sit in alliance and share a real raw story about the sheer guts it takes to escape a toxic, abusive relationship. That is actual, real-life strength. But the producers would rather give prime airtime to toxic main character delusions and opportunists. If the weekend episode doesn't hold these people accountable, turn it off. Stop feeding the machine that is rotting this generation's brains. We see the facade, and we are done tuning in for it.